my oil. It's taken me so long to reformulate this oil because apparently now silicones, certain silicones are being banned globally. So they're ready. And we weren't using bad silicon. Silicon has to be in a product because it has to make it thicker, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So but a lot of them have been banned in Europe, America, and South America already. So our chemists couldn't get the silicon. So we've been trying, I'm just going to show you quickly, different oils to get the right thing. I'm like, oh my God, this is like water. This is like water. So now I've had to put in a dropper. And if you look at it, it's like water.
Yeah.
I just saw another beautiful company that I admire to death has done something very similar. I haven't released one yet, but it's still, I can put in my hair and it doesn't go oily. And it's actually got like 9 or 10 oils in it. And it has a different type of silicon that is not going to be banned, because a lot of products will be banned, but I can rub it in my skin and it's beautiful. So I've had to change it.
Hello, and welcome to It's So Much More Than Hair. I have got with me Tracey Bazzano Lauretta, who is the genius behind the brand EVY, which is made for hairdressers by hairdressers, and a finalist in the AHIA electrical best electrical finalist. So we wish Tracey a lot of luck in that, and welcome to the show, Tracey.
Thank you, Helen. Great to be here. I'm excited.
So, just how did it all begin for you, Tracey?
Okay, so how did it all begin? So I started as a hairdresser.
Yeah.
Started quite young, like most of us in our generation. I had my first salon at 20, had the salon for about 20 years. During that time, I always had this thing about straightening hair, and I used to like the Oprah, and I always thought I'm going to go to America or somewhere and learn how to straighten that type of hair. So I always had a bit of a obsession with that. But I worked with Goldwell when Goldwell first launched in Australia, as they used to call them regionals in those days when they first launched. So we were the second salon to join Goldwell. So I started doing a bit of tech work for Goldwell, going around to salons with our little bag that we had. I think I still got it down the track, and our canisters, and teaching salons. And then this thing with straightening was always in my head. I just loved the idea of it. So Bionic came into Australia probably in the year 2000, I think it was. And Bionic was a rebonding system, and it was like the Shiseido and all those days. So it's a bit different to the Wallace Straits and the Matrix ones. They're thio-based, and they're still the same. This is still a thio-based product, but it was more rebonding like the Japanese system. So the Japanese were using it to change that coarse textured hair. They already had straight hair, but they changed the texture of it and made it finer like our type of hair. So it was really amazing. It was an incredible system, a lot more technical, I guess, but easy technical than your Wallace Straight and that type of thing. The ability of what it could do was amazing. But at the same time, it was brought in by a non-hairdresser, taught, this is what I used to say, it was brought in by a non-hairdresser who was taught by non-English speaking Japanese, and into a country like ours, disaster zone. Yeah. So I got involved with him because we were having a lot of issues, and our hair was breaking. We were just had major issues. And my thing was that if it's working over there and it's working in America, why are we not getting it to work? We don't understand it, because it was technical. So I got involved with a distributor at the time, and long story short, worked with him for about 4 years, became his educator, went to the States and became educated by the Americans who bought out their product, who the product belonged to, the Bionic. And then I became one of the top 3, Fernando tells me, of this chemical straightening, or rebonding, we call it rebonding, in the world. So I really, really got to master it. And so I worked with them for about 4 years, I think, and it was just unpaid love work that you do on the side of having your salon. Yeah. So it was pretty crazy, put a lot of stress at home because, I was having another job and you're out and about. And then it just got too much and I was going to walk away. And then the American guy said, look, we want to give you distribution rights because without you, there is no company.
Yeah.
So I took on that distribution for about 12 years. We were number one in the world for electrical. So Bionic had electrical tools as well.
Okay.
So I did that, had to give up my salon probably after 3 years. I had two kids in the meantime. And then I decided just to do the Bionic system by itself. Then Bionic collapsed with their relationship with their Japanese, and the Japanese basically said, Tracey, we want to work with you, but you have to start your own brand. So
Wow.
that's how EVY was born, and I was like, oh my God, how do I do this? Never done this in my life. I'm a hairdresser. I said to someone yesterday, I don't know how to run a business like this. I'm just a hairdresser. Like, what do I know? But I can do I can do lots of stuff. Self-taught. We're creative people. We can do it.
Yeah.
So basically, Evie, that's what it started. We bought out our own rebonding because I could see what was a hand grenade with his system.
Yeah.
And, he had 4 or 5 electrical tools that were amazing, but there were just a few things that weren't right. The packaging was never right from our Australian market. So he always allowed me to repackage, which is, I would never allow my distributors to repackage my product, but he did.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then we end up just doing Evie, and Evie basically started with the rebonding system, a few tools, and we just add one all the time because it's not like someone's given me $5 million and said, here, go out and buy the whole planet of products.
Yeah.
So we just do one product at a time, and it's just been a progress. And I just realized this morning that this year we're 10 years.
That's incredible. That's so
10 years.
good.
And then you've got to take away 3 years of COVID. So I'm like, oh, really, we're 7 because we've got
Yeah.
in
It
there.
has slowed down.
Yeah, even though that COVID pandemic was really good for us because obviously people had more money to spend,
Yeah.
we never closed down, which probably made us more tired at the end because we were online, I guess. We weren't visiting salons, so we were still able to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 10 years down the track, 7 days, I still think, well, I think we got ripped off of 3,
Yeah.
but it's been a good journey. It's been a good journey. It's great. It's given me a different side of the industry. And when I had my salon, we had 10 staff at one point. I had a business partner who's still running the salon. And we were like two peas in a pod. We didn't communicate with the industry. We would go to the Goldwell forums and we would stay the two of us. We never spoke to other salons. So I didn't really see what can happen. So now I feel like I'm on the other side. I'm the supplier side,
Yeah.
and you get to see what you can do in the industry, and you see the people that are entering competitions all the time and the amount of work that they do. And it's not right or wrong. It's just different. Some people want to enter competitions. They want the awards, and
Yeah.
some people just want to do their own little thing in their salon. It doesn't make them better or worse hairdressers. Their focus is different because it takes a lot of work, money, and effort to enter competitions and things. So for me, it's been a great journey, and there's a lot of times where, like now, the economy is hard, and the whole world is hard. And if you live in Victoria, we just want to kill whoever ran it before. Not being political here, right?
And still running it because he's probably behind. Oh, shouldn't get political.
Shouldn't, right? No, but the guys retired beautifully on our money. And I saw the other day now they want us to pay $200 million because we cancelled the Olympics.
I
Just
know. I
no
know.
worries. I hope you're having a good retirement, mate, on our terms. But Victoria's been slogged a lot.
Hmm.
And I don't know whether the rest of the country a little bit as well, but with all the taxes and everything. So I feel like if you're a person that's worked hard and maybe you bought an investment property, you're getting slammed now. You're getting punished for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
we're
another
getting
little.
through it. And, I just say to people, got to ride the wave. When I had my salon, we went through the recession and we got through it.
Yeah. We
It's a
did.
different, yeah, look, it's a
Yeah.
different thing having a salon going through a recession to being a brand operator
Yeah.
where, we don't buy $2,000 of stock. I've got to buy 30, 50,
Yeah.
$100,000 to get irons in the warehouse because they take so long to make.
Yeah.
Our Quadtech brush takes 90 days handmade. I'm like, what are you doing?
And they're beautiful brushes. They're
They're
actually
beautiful.
they're beautiful brushes.
Yeah. And then they don't, and then I got to ship them. And then
Yeah.
they want, half the money up front, and then you've got to pay out. So it's a different ball game. And sometimes it gets really stressful, but I stand back and I think, okay, what am I going to do? If I quit, what am I going to do? And
Yeah, that's
what would I
right.
do? And, for me, it's been a great journey because I've got to see, as I said, different parts of the industry. I have friends all over the world.
Yeah.
I have traveled the world, and I'm blessed. I say I'm blessed that I've traveled the world with my work,
Yeah.
And, like next month, I'm actually going to go to the States just for a week. One of my first educator that I went to the States, he's turning 60, and I'm going to go there and we're going to surprise a couple of people because I had a relationship for 22 years with him. And he was my first educator when I stepped on the floor.
Yeah.
So it's been great. And I've educated, across the world and things. And now we're back in Australia and just trying to grow the brand. And of course, when you're a boutique brand like I am, you're competing with the big boys, or the big players that have got billions of dollars and millions to throw into their product.
Yeah. And
It's a bit
marketing.
different. Yeah, look, it's a bit different and it's doesn't end. And sometimes you feel like you go five forward, two back, five forward, one forward. It's just,
Yeah.
but that's business, isn't it? That's business. So as long as
And
you
that's
keep the
and
love,
yeah.
yeah.
And that's, I feel like we were chatting before about, like we've been in the industry a little bit longer than perhaps, well, all the new ones coming in
Yeah.
anyway. But,
Yeah.
really we've been very blessed to have seen the evolution of all of that. Because when you
Correct.
were saying, earlier that um, that that you were, interested in the straightening model and all that, that wasn't really a big thing back in
No,
the
it wasn't. No, no.
80s and 90s. It wasn't, it happened, but I
Yeah.
know my awareness of a straightening solution was GLAT,
Yeah.
or
So we either had the GLAT, which is the
yeah,
sodium, right?
yeah,
Or what do we do if you really, you'd get perm solution and good old flour,
yes,
right? We all
yeah,
did years ago. So the
yeah,
perm solution and flour, I guess, is the same type of technology as when you look at your Wella Straits and all those products. They're thio-based or
yeah,
like a perm relaxer. That's what they
yes,
do. Whereas when you go to the rebonding,
yeah,
ionic rebonding, which is not available in Australia anymore, my rebonding, and then I think there's like Shiseido. I don't know if they're still around. They were a little bit different because they were still thio-based.
yeah,
They weren't sodium, so they're still nice, but somehow they went into the hair and they were able to retexturize. And that's the difference. When you get your normal chemical straightening, they can't retexturize the hair. They don't do that.
no, they just break the bonds. They
Correct.
break, yeah,
Whereas the rebonding systems, and remember these systems were originated in Japan where people had straight hair.
yeah,
So they just wanted to change the texture to make it move more rather than being stiff straight.
yes, yeah,
So that theory was different. So I really loved that. And for me, when it first came into Australia, we were just frying hair. And I remember I'm one of these, I would ring all the salons and go, what are you doing? Are you having problems? Because I wanted to share my knowledge. Some people said, I've got it right. I'm not sharing my knowledge. Whereas me, I like to share. So I've got a lot of relationships with salons that I've had for 20 years because we all share that knowledge. So when I bought out the EVY brand and the rebonding EVY, we knew what was not what was wrong, but what was difficult and what were the points that weren't as great for our market. So
yeah,
I was able, so when I went from bionic to EVY and even with the irons, when I bought out the irons, I'd say, okay, you remember how we love this about this one, but you know how it does this and this? And we go, yeah, we don't like that. I changed it. And you know how it does this? I changed it. And so all the little things that we didn't like, I
you could
changed
work
them.
on,
Yeah,
yeah,
I changed it because I've actually, I'm a hairdresser by trade. And then, so all that came in and that was great. So when we did a class like that, and I remember I would hire one of the studios at Tony and Guy when they were in Paddington, and we would have classes because you never gave it to anyone unless you had a class because it was a hand grenade in the wrong hands.
yeah,
You needed to do half a day class, and we gave everyone a certificate, and it was fantastic. And then what happened was then the world changed, and then keratin came in. And we know that it had formaldehyde. People denied it, had formaldehyde. Now, one thing about me, and I say to people, everybody knows somebody who's got cancer or who has
yes,
died of cancer, right? Or a disease like that.
yeah,
So for me, I'm really strong on it. And we hairdressers have enough chemicals. I know when I was on the floor, you would be any women out there, we would get tweezers and we'd pull hair out of our
no.
pubes or your feet or whatever, right?
Last
Because
night I
hair's
just pulled
in,
one
right?
out that from my foot
Yeah.
that long.
Right? And it happens. So we know that. And they used to say that hairdressers have hair in their lungs,
Hmm.
inhale it,
Yes.
right? So we have enough stuff in our salons without bringing in a chemical.
Yeah.
The whole keratin thing for me, it just touches a nerve for me. It touches a nerve because when they first put it out, and I never did it, but I went to salons that were doing it. they had formaldehyde in it. There are people still bringing in formaldehyde products.
Oh, you can smell it.
You can smell it, right? They're bringing it in. And when they bought in the original one that came out that we're not going to name, everybody knows who it was. For years, it didn't have it. Bullshit. You knew it had it, right? You hit it. And it had high levels. And I would go to salons in Paddington and great salons in Sydney because I used to travel a lot in those days. And the juniors would say to me, I vomit. I have to go vomit.
No.
My eyes sting like anything. Why would you subject somebody to that? Why would you do that? Because you're putting a dangerous chemical, a poison, into a product, and you're poisoning your team, right?
Yeah.
And then, I went to another salon and this person's passed away and he was bringing in illegal stuff. And I went to his salon and he had a room in the back room, probably as big as our toilet here. And he had this extraction fan. And if you had it done, you had to go into that room, right? So for me, what does that tell you? It tells you that we're being stupid because there are so many diseases out there. And in our industry, apart from the stress factor that we have working on the floor, that, I remember my ex would say to me, oh, you just do this all day. How do you get tired? Well, honey, it's not quite doing this all day, but people don't understand it. The mental stress we have, the physical stress on our bodies, all that stuff. So the whole keratin thing, they bought it out and I would go to salons. I was thinking, oh my God, you guys are crazy. And at that stage, I was bringing in a product from Bionic, which was glycosilic, but they were still being ironed in, right? So they weren't as toxic. They weren't toxic, And then you have these people that say, oh, but there's formaldehyde in the air, there's formaldehyde in the apples and all this bullshit. Yeah, there's formaldehyde in nail polish, but darling, you don't iron it at 240 degrees 15 times and inhale it, do you?
Yes.
That's the difference. Formaldehyde by itself might not be poisonous, but when you heat it up repeatedly and you're inhaling the fumes,
yeah, no ventilation, and repeatedly.
Correct. So now these systems that the legal limit in Australia is 0.002%. So for me, I say that's a little bit of poison, a lot of poison. It's poison to me. It doesn't matter. And a lot of them will say you can't use it on pregnant women. So, okay, I'm not pregnant. I think you're not pregnant, Helen. But what about, and I'm doing it on you, what about the lady sitting next to you or the lady sitting next to her? She might be pregnant. Are we endangering the future health? Are we going to, as an industry, like asbestosis and the other one, I forgot what it's called, with people cutting granite stone. That's another.
Yes.
What's that one called?
I'm not sure, but I know what you're talking about.
My friend used to sell that stuff. And he's always every day another work cover claim of somebody that worked for him 20 years ago that's got this disease now.
Yeah, the poly thing in the fake granite.
In the granite and stuff, because they didn't know. So the thing is, we know. So as an industry and as a brand owner, salon owner, do I want to be responsible in 20 years that my staff that work for me have now got a disease caused by these keratins that we're ironing in? So it just annoys me. I can't tell you, I'm really passionate about that. So now there's this whole new thing of, and I say to people, whether you want to call it a keratin, I call mine a smoothing system. You want to call it nanoplasty. They are all same, but different. When keratins first came out, they had a lot of protein in it and mostly keratin. So the problem was you couldn't do it on hair like mine or maybe hair like yours because it'd make it too brittle.
Yeah.
And it had the formaldehyde in it. Yes, it made it dead straight, not a problem. And then they took that away, and then I call mine a smoothing. So then people think, oh, it just smooths. And then we've got nanoplasty now, which is another big thing, having lots of social media. Nanoplasty is using organic acids, which is what I use and different people use. So for me, I just believe as a human being and as a brand owner, if you are ironing something in, it has to be a little bit detrimental. And I can cover your hair with conditioner. Conditioner we know is safe, right? You can't eat it. You might not want to eat it, but it's safe. But if I iron your hair with even 20% conditioner in, I'm going to get fumes, aren't I? Are those fumes going to be 100%? So conditioner is no brainer. You can put hairspray in the hair. You start ironing a lot of hairspray in the hair and you iron it 25 times on 250 degrees. It's a fume.
Yes.
Is it detrimental? Is it poisonous? I don't know, but I don't want to take that risk.
Yeah.
So for me, when I brought out my E-Smooth and I said I've distributed 3 different keratins or smoothing systems or whatever you want to call it from different companies. definitely never had any formaldehyde at all.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all iron-ins. And some of them say rinse it out 70%, rinse it out 80%. Now, if I say to you, what's 80% for you on your hair? What is it? What's 80% on my hair?
Yeah.
You think of what I think is totally different. If I've got thick hair, you've got fine hair.
How do you
And,
know? How
and
do you
is
know?
there a measuring point? Is there a measuring point? If
Yeah.
I say to you, iron it 5 to 25 times, what is that? What is it? It's not
Yes.
exact. So for me, my system, and this is not to talk about my system here, but I'm really precise. You rinse it out 100%.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
You iron it either 10 times or 15 times. I don't want you to iron it on 250 degrees because our hair is not designed to do that. We don't have Mexican hair. We don't have Brazilian hair. We don't have Indian hair. I mean, you iron my hair on 250 degrees or even yours,
Yeah.
might get away with it once or 25 times, go back the second time.
Mm.
I believe,
Look,
I'm not God,
it,
but I believe it can't be good for us long term. The
no.
other thing that I want the industry to understand is that everybody now is saying, oh, but this keratin's going to grow out. This keratin's going to grow out. This smoothing system's going to grow out. This nanoplastic is going to grow out. I don't know. And I want someone to explain to me. I've had a lot of theory I've basically spent 20 years smoothing and straightening. And you do color, obviously, right? So for me, what I say to people is a smoothing system, nanoplastic, keratin, whatever you want to call it, everyone's got different names. It's all the same thing. They are designed to smooth, defrizz, devolumize, right? Make the hair easier to blow wave. Some hair can be straight with it, depends on your hair. If I iron my hair enough and I leave it on longer, my hair can be straight. But is it going to look like this when I wash it naturally? No, because I've blow dried my hair,
Yeah.
right? So and even with chemical straightening, unless you blow dry and iron it,
Yeah.
it will not dry looking blow dried or ironed.
No.
Chemically straightened hair won't do that.
Yeah.
So how can we expect a smoothing system to do that? We can't. So
Mm-hmm.
I say to people, it's a smoothing system. Why do we want to have a smoothing system that we're going to tell you is going to grow out, which I don't know how it's going to grow out, and I want someone to explain it to me, right? Because if it's non-chemical, how does it grow out? I don't
Mm.
understand that. It can last 6 to 8 months if you wash your hair every 12 days, 100%.
Yeah.
But if you wash your hair every day, it's like
It's got
saying
to break down. It has to.
it has to. If it's non-chemical and
Yeah.
it's doing all that stuff. If you're pushing it in because you're ironing it 25 times with high heat,
Yeah.
maybe it might do that, right? But for me, 25 times high heat, and now people want specific irons that are non-protective. I just don't think it's right for our type of hair. And
Yeah.
I've been to Mexico. I haven't been to Brazil, but I've seen that hair, that Mexican hair. These girls have
It's
got hair down
different.
here. It's so shiny and so strong
Yeah.
that like when we make our product in Mexico, when we test it, my chemist says to me, no, you only need 5 to 7 passes, but they iron it on 240 degrees. I'm
Yeah.
not prepared to iron 240 degrees. So I would rather my hair iron it 10 to 12 times on 200 degrees.
Yes.
Hair's always going to be in good condition. I can do it every month if I want. And we don't have that hair. Their hair's really strong. It's almost
And
like a hair.
it's corset. And it's actually like you've got different shaped hair. Like some hair's round and some hair's oval, and and that's
Yeah.
the thing. So that's why that hair is a little like that, because it's kind of like, and the cuticles packed down a little bit more. So you've
It's
got all
different.
those factors in it
Yeah, exactly.
that
So it's different. So for me, I think what I say to people, and I try to explain to salons, is people say, oh, we're going to get this new product. It's going to last 6 to 8 months. It's going to grow out. Now, the growing out is one thing. I don't believe a semi-permanent product. So I relate it to a semi-permanent color. So if we look at color, we've got semis, we've got demis, and we've got permanent. A semi-permanent color you cannot claim is going to grow out, right?
yeah, yeah.
Unless they never
No,
wash their hair.
not when
Unless
you
they
mix
never
a
wash their hair.
chemical. Yeah,
Correct, right? So
yeah,
you can make a semi, a demi by putting a chemical in, a low peroxide, nice little demi,
yes,
and then you can get a bit of staining, and maybe on some hair, if you don't wash it enough, it can grow out a little bit or fade out. You do a permanent color, a little bit more chemical,
yeah,
which is not dangerous, and it's going to grow out. I don't understand how people want to believe why a semi-permanent smoothing, keratin, nano, whatever you want to call it, is going to grow out.
yeah,
And as an industry, why do we want that? Why do we want to do a semi-permanent color?
yeah.
There's like a color so they can relate it. that's
Hmm.
going to grow out. It doesn't make sense. To me, it doesn't make sense business-wise. It doesn't make sense for the client.
Yeah.
There has to be something in it. And as I said, I want someone to explain it to me because to me, it doesn't make sense. But when I've spoken to my chemist and he's done tests and stuff, if you're using super high heat and you're leaving some product in and you're ironing it up to 25 times,
Yeah.
maybe you're almost like forcing it in,
Right. Yeah.
So I say to people, my product, I say to you, will last 3 to 4 months. It can last I had a girl here who used to last 7 months because she
Yeah.
washed her hair every 10 days, right? So if you
Yeah.
wash it every 10 days, it's about 40 washes.
Yeah.
Yep. It's going to
Yeah.
last you 6 to 8 months. I wash my hair every second day, every third day. I like to do it every 3 to 4 months.
Hmm.
And that to me is more sustainable and makes more sense. You don't want to do a semi-permanent color on someone and say, come back every 8 months. It doesn't make sense to me.
Mm.
Business. And also as the client, what are we selling them? Are we consulting them incorrectly? Are we telling them that this is going to give you these results and then it doesn't?
I don't think a lot of people know enough about it, though. I think in our day too, like when a product company came in, even with a shampoo or conditioner, they told us the ingredients,
Yeah.
and then they told us what that did to the hair. So I've always, and you're obviously the same,
Yeah.
have this really desire to actually know what is going on when you
Correct.
put a
Yeah.
product on the hair. Whereas I feel nowadays, they just don't know. And
Yeah.
there was, even in education, I used to be right into the trichology side of things,
Oh, yes. Yeah.
and I didn't want that qualification to even be taken out of our training package because I feel like it's important to know. But there were so many this, and I've always been interested in the hair science, but there's so many people who aren't, and I feel that, I mean, like I'm not really aware. I'm jumping around here, but I'm not really aware that of a product that lasts like that long in the hair. Obviously, you are because you're in the business.
Well, I see it. And to be honest, as a brand person, I've got so much in my head and I'm doing so much. And like to fly to China for 3 days is
Yeah,
crazy. And
yeah.
about having a typhoon. So thank you, Tracy, again. Last time I was in Hong Kong, it was raining the same. But I just, it actually gives me anxiety thinking about that. People want to do this, and I think it can't be. Come on, people. And I've had some salons say to me, "Oh, we're going to do this product because the last 8 months it grows out." And I said, "Oh, you're a professional colorist. Can a semi-permanent product grow out?
Yeah.
Got to be something. There's
I've
got to be something." And
yeah.
then you've got to buy special products and special irons and special things. And I don't know. To me, I just think, guys, we've got to think business. Okay, I don't know who's going to listen to this, and consumers, we love you too, right? But at the end of the day, if it's non-chemical, it cannot grow out.
Well,
It can,
remember, no, that's
do you
remember
agree,
when
Helen? I mean, am I
oh,
just
absolutely 100% I do.
right?
And like I said, I don't think I've come across a keratin that you expect to grow out. You expect it to break down and come out of the hair
Yeah.
and the function to
And
stop
I think
working.
it's social media and people say stuff. And like there was another brand that came out, and I'm not going to mention that brand either, bought out by the same people again, and it's a hybrid, right?
Right.
So- And I think there's other people claiming hybrid. What does hybrid mean? Now, in my days of hairdressing, I was Goldwell for, 17 years, second salon in Victoria doing, and now the hybrid word wasn't around for me. But
No.
hybrid, what does it mean? It means it can be a semi and it can be a permanent. Is that what it means? You tell me, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Because
so
I used to specialize in color. That's what it means. So now we're telling people that these smoothing keratin nanos, I'm just going to put them all in the one basket, right?
yeah, can
uh,
do anything.
can be hybrids.
Yeah.
And there's another one that came out just before the last one. It's a hybrid. It's really expensive to start with, application costs, right? Um, it's a hybrid. What do you mean it's a hybrid? It cannot be a semi-permanent and a chemical straightening unless you're putting a chemical in there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't do that. I can say to you and I said, this is not about me selling my product. This is just me. Sometimes I just want to go like this to people and go, listen, you've got a brain. You're so good at what you do, but you're being blasted by all these Facebook ads. But it's like we want something that is coating. It's
Yeah.
like I said, and I said to someone the other day, you pour foundation on your skin to give you a tan.
Yeah.
Going to last 6 months? No, because it washes off, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So people just need to understand it. And I think we need to say, if it's semi-permanent, you charge accordingly. And people say to me sometimes with our system, Tracey, how long does it last? Or how often should I do it? And I say to them, well, how much should we charge? And I say, don't charge too much. Make it affordable so the client comes back and has it every 3 months, because then they're getting beautiful maintenance and their hair is always perfect. If you charge a really high dollar, they're only going to do it twice a year, and then they're going to have probably 3 to 4 months of the year where their hair's a bit shitty, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do mine every 3 to 4 months. I can go out, a little bit of drizzle. My hair doesn't change. I know I'm going to Typhoon Hong Kong this weekend. Beautiful. It's going to rain. It's going to drizzle. But if anything, my hair will probably just go flat, and it might go into beach wave, but it's not going to go frizzy like the old days where, you go, oh my God, it's going to rain. I'll put my jacket on my head.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different. I just want salons to understand that if you're
Well,
selling a semi-permanent product, that's what it is.
yeah.
Accordingly, get the client to come in more often. If somebody is telling you it's going to do something that doesn't make sense in your technical brain and relate it back to color,
Yeah.
there has to be something in it, Helen. I don't know what's in there, but there has to be something.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
I remember, I mean, and you would too, like again, 80s, 90s, there was a term that they were using that we were perming ourselves out of business because people were getting that wash and wear perm and not coming back
yes,
to the salon, where
correct.
it is a chemical and that was permanently changing the structure of the hair. So your client would come in and have their perm and then just let it all grow out and
Yeah,
or not style it. We lost.
that's right. And then we used to do the regrowth with the Glad wrap on the
Yeah,
end, right?
yeah. We lost the styling product because they used to, not
Yeah,
product, the styling customer, because they used to come in and have their hair blow waved or set once a week. They changed to a perm, wet it under the shower, and we lost them. So
and we
you'd,
lost
you'd
them.
only ever see them when they would
Yeah,
come back and refresh.
yeah.
And, that's the very, and even the same as balayage, when that came in, like my daughter runs a salon at the moment. Oh, she runs a salon. She said, I know how many clients I've got because at Christmas they all come in to have their balayage fixed,
Yeah. See, I wasn't, the balayage wasn't around when I was there.
No,
But balayage means you get your hair colored every 6 months, doesn't it? Or
that's
something like that,
right.
because you
So,
had your regrowth look. Not like
yes,
with 2 weeks, geez, I want to touch up my regrowth, right?
that's
So,
right. So hairdressers are kind of inventing that. Well, that's when they call them the money pieces, which I hate that term because I feel like it's, but to a
yeah,
hairdresser, that's what they mean. They're going to come back in and have that little bit of regrowth done, even if they've got the balayage. So, like you said, we do need to think about that repeat business
yeah,
and also the maintaining and the quality of the hair that we're working with because it
yeah.
is our medium.
That
So,
is our medium, exactly. So
yeah,
for me, and that's the thing. I think when you're promising somebody, and I said I want somebody to sit down, and I've tried to reach out to these people, like, how is it? And the other one that was saying hybrid, we couldn't even get a direct answer from the people unless I just think a color. You cannot make a semi-permanent a hybrid unless you're putting a peroxide in. So how can a smoothing system be a hybrid?
yeah,
It can't be. It can't be. It has to,
yeah,
something has to go in there. And the other thing that the reason we, like with our rebonding, which is the thio base. So remember we had the thio and the sodium based.
right,
Sodium around, I think some of the African products are still doing sodium. But what we found is that with the keratins, and the reason I slow down on pushing my rebonding is keratins that are being ironed into the hair. I haven't tested it with mine because, to be honest, I'm too scared, because I've seen hair melt. And when you're
mm,
at my age
I have
and
too.
you see hair melt 3 times,
Yeah,
you just can't sleep. You just can't
no,
sleep
no,
because it's so horrific. It's traumatic. It's worse than being in, I don't know, it's traumatic for us. But I don't know. And then what was happening is they were saying, oh, do the smoothing in between your keratin and then put your chemical on top. As soon as you put an alkali on top of an acid, which is your keratins, the
yeah,
hair melted, right?
yeah,
And it's instant. So I don't know if people are doing these keratins where you're rinsing out 60, 70, 80%. I don't know what that means. I like to be precise. It's either all rinsed out or, people sometimes will say, I'll just put a cup of water on it.
yeah,
Cup of water on your hair, a cup of water on my hair, and a cup of water on Christina, who's got, this much hair. It's going
yeah,
to be a very different amount of product left in.
yeah,
So when you're leaving in 10, 20, 30%, and then you're putting another chemical on top, are you risking a chemical reaction?
mm.
And I think a lot of the young people don't understand chemical
Look,
reaction.
they
But
don't, and
you have that perm solution like we did, perm solution neutralizer, you got that heating up element, but that didn't melt the hair. But a chemical straightening on top of a keratin could create a chemical reaction which melts the hair. It doesn't just get
Mm.
hot, it melts, right?
Yeah.
So that's a scary thing for me of what can happen, because if you've seen it, you can't unsee it.
No, that's right. Yeah. But I don't even think, companies, you get the reps coming out to the companies, they've got no awareness of what's in their products either. They're
Yeah,
just told what the product does and how, you know, what the market is,
yeah,
who it's to be marketed to, and what the product does. So they're not,
yeah.
I'll ask a rep, what's in it? What ingredients? And again, like, 20 years ago, I worked for a product company and we were educated on all the ingredients.
Wasn't Joico, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Because I did
No.
Redken Joico. In those days, we used to go to seminars all the time and we knew everything, didn't we? We were so technical.
Yeah. Well, it was Paul Mitchell Systems, but
Yeah.
back in the 90s, like, and they were still a very, I mean, I don't know a lot about them now, but
Mm.
back in those days, I loved they were based on the original Redken formulas as
Yes, yeah,
well.
yeah,
So um yeah, so they were a very pure product, and we knew that, like, we knew the ingredients, we knew how they were made,
yeah.
we knew where the origins of where that product came from and all that sort of thing. So but no one seems to have that
No,
awareness about the products that they're
I
using
think
now.
so. Yeah. I mean, I've done a lot of work with Italian guys and they're very technical, as in the bonds and breaking and stuff. But I think with ingredients, like we're just repackaging and, do you need to, and I actually had to Google something the other day, but do we need to know all the technical names of some of the chemicals and understand what they are? A little bit, yes and no.
Yeah.
A lot of, like, I had to Google all the different oils because it was names. I was like, oh, that's almond oil. Oh, this is olive oil. I mean, olive oil, you can read it, but there are a lot of different oils that we're using. Mammy oil, which has got some technical name that I didn't know,
Yeah.
but most of it, if it's a chemical, we need to understand that.
Mm.
I think it's important. And we know that things like formaldehyde can be hidden under different names,
Yes.
and it's like one of the products that I bought out as a smoother had glycosilic, and we thought glycosilic was better than formaldehyde, and it definitely is, but we were not rinsing it out. So now, 10 years down the track, or probably 8 years or whatever it is since I dropped it, probably 8 years, 10 years, now they're saying glycosilic is not so great either, because it's the ironing in and inhaling. That's what
Mm.
it is. It's the ironing and inhaling. So I think for me, and everything I've created with Eve is all about the salons. And I see people half our age that they got sore shoulders, they got sore wrists, and you see them, they're all falling apart because their posture's not right. They're using heavy tools, they're using brushes. I see brushes that you see on social media, and people do this, and the brush is just not even, it's just like there. And then
Yeah.
you get the dryer and you push it down. The brush is not even holding the hair. So we're doing all this to our wrists and we're damaging our wrists. So for
Yeah.
me, everything in Evie is keeping us healthy,
Yeah.
having lightweight, having ergonomic, teaching people. I'd love to do a blow drying school one day, Helen.
Yeah.
I'd
I love blow.
love to do that,
I'm a blow wave.
because
Yeah.
people don't even blow waving. People, probably once a year, I get somebody says, "Oh, your brushes melted, darling. My brushes didn't melt. You melted them."
Yeah.
So if I go into a trolley and all your brushes are melted,
Yeah.
means your blow dry technique is not good. That
Yeah.
means you're putting the nozzle on the brush and you're
Yeah.
pulling the hair out.
Yeah.
Whereas, let put the nozzle behind, let the technology work for you. If you have a good dryer with good technology, like our tools, I can get really frizzy hair, no heat. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, no brushes, even dry, and I can run the dryer down like that, and I can make it look like it's been ironed because
Yeah.
that's the technology in there.
Nice.
These people that put nozzles on brushes, they're basically forcing it straight rather
Absolutely.
than
Oh,
teaching it. So we need to sort of teach all that again, I guess, don't we? Because we
we
lost it.
do. Oh,
I
look, and
think it's coming back again, blow drying, is it?
it,
Do you think?
it has, yeah, they're getting better at it. If they come to me, they are.
Good.
But
Yeah.
I always say to the students, I say, if you've got hair on the brush at the end of your blow wave, that's a shabby blow wave, because you shouldn't be breaking the hair while you're brushing, while you're
Correct.
drying the hair,
Yeah.
especially after a color or something like, or a
Yeah.
straightening
Yeah.
service.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Anything
we
like
know some hair falls out and
yeah,
you're going to have some hair fall out, but I see sometimes brushes that are so melted and I think, oh my God, if you did that to my brush,
yeah,
how's the client's hair look? What does a
yeah,
client's hair look like? I'd be really scared to
yeah,
have that. So I
yeah,
guess if you're going into a salon and having your hair blow, look at their brushes. If the brushes are all melted
yeah,
and look relatively new,
yeah,
get out of there fast.
yeah.
Get out of there
Yeah,
fast.
that's right. But yeah, and look, and that's the thing, I suppose that's where, I mean, that's another story. We could go down that path
Mm,
again, as you know, the
yeah.
education of blow waving and
And
that.
ironing is the same. You know, I see people iron and the same thing. And I guess a lot of people iron a certain way, and a lot of them with these new smoothing, keratin nanos, whatever you want to call it, I see that on like that, and I'm thinking, what are you doing like that? Like,
Yeah,
it's not, it's too fast, too
yeah,
many times,
yeah,
and it's not slow enough to actually do anything. So I actually don't know what you're doing, and then you're doing it 25 times.
yeah,
I don't know, maybe different irons work differently
yeah.
and different technology, but it's the same like iron as a professional iron with a comb. And I
I
explain to people
agree.
you're ironing with a comb.
Agree.
And people, it's like
Yes,
if you're
that's
ironing your shirt and it's like that,
yes.
and you iron it, you're going to get creases,
Or
but you're
picking up the hair and then ironing it,
yeah,
like
beautiful.
just
Yeah,
picking
we're
it
old
up.
school. I love it. We've got to teach people to do the old the old things like that. And
I've seen chemical, like not chemical, but you know how like if hair was ever permed and then it was maybe straightened again and it had that really
yes,
kind of. I've seen hair feel like that after being excessively ironed.
yes, yeah,
Like
yeah.
that
Because it's
kind
because
of
it's yeah,
damage to hair. And even my sister-in-law, God bless her, and she'll, but I had to bar her from ironing her hair because she was breaking her, before
really,
my daughter's wedding. Because I said to her, you need to give your hair a break
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah,
she just had all these short pieces around her face because
yeah.
she was
She was just
burning.
breaking it off. And I think with that, we know that you've got to use thermal protectors. We're
Mhm.
actually bringing out thermal protectors. So I don't really have it. I use our oil or something like that on it. But, and my hair broke because I had bleach, and I hate bleach in my hair. Somebody bleached it and then they left it on for too long. Then they went and did another client. My hair breaks just looking at bleach. And so I've got breakage from there. But, if you have some irons, I always say to people, any iron, any dryer will dry your hair. Any iron will curl your hair, will straighten your hair. It's how it looks and feels that makes a difference.
Yeah,
So if you have an iron that doesn't have the technology or the blade pressure or whatever, like your sister-in-law, maybe, I don't know what she's using, let's not ask, but she might have to go over it 10 times, and that's why she's breaking it. But if you have an iron that's got better quality, I mean, with our One Glide, one glide of it, we can get afro hair dead straight or textured hair, whatever we're calling it these days, right? But I can get that dead straight, moving, bouncing, looking like my type of hair, right? It moves.
yeah,
So we've got to look at the tools that we use also. If the tools are not right for your hair,
yeah,
you've got to change it. You've got to find something that works for your hair. And it's not saying mine are better than someone else's, but I know that, for example, mine are definitely better. If you've got blonde bleached hair or extensions, it's going to make your extensions last longer. If you've got that really strong Indian hair that's covered in coconut oil, or Brazilian hair or Mexican hair, sure, you can use an iron that is titanium coated, that has no other minerals in there, that has no rubber strips, and you can use it at 240 and you might be okay
yeah.
because your hair can take it. My hair can't take it. A lot of our hair in Australia can't take it. So
No,
you've got to look at that. And it's technique, it's product, it's how we use it, and the actual iron. But
yeah,
unfortunately, there's so much social media and so many people have got so much money to spend more that, I saw something the other day, another big player, big brand has now bought out a retail line. And I was reading it and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what is it? They've invented some new ingredient as
right.
shampoo, right? And I'm like, okay, yep. But it's a good story.
Yeah.
People get bamboozled by
Oh,
stories sometimes because marketing, and this is what I've learned as a brand owner, is that, I can put these two things together, and instead of saying one's a pen, one's a lip gloss, I can call it the EV duo patented mineral. I can make up a name for it, and
yeah,
that's the name for it, right? So
yeah.
this is giving away little secrets, but this
No,
is what
it's
can happen. So that's how you do it. You
yeah.
call it whatever you want to call it.
Something
Yeah. So
razzle
people,
dazzle, and
correct. So it'd be interesting to see what happens with all this, and people overlapping products. That's the problem. That's my concern, is that if you're leaving something in and you're ironing it in, that product, how long is it going to stay there? And when you put a color on top or a bleach, are you going to get a chemical reaction?
mm,
I had a situation where probably 10 years ago, when just before I started my rebonding, when I said had bionic, and they were saying, oh, use their, it was called agave in those days. which is a smoothing keratin type thing. We don't use the word keratin, but it was a beautiful, beautiful product. And at the time, Fernando's like, oh, this is great. Use this as a semi-permanent in between your chemical. So you relax in between, and the client does one, they do one. Well, I don't think he tested enough, did he? And maybe it worked in America because they had all Mexicans there, right? But we bought it here. And as soon as you put the agave on top of the rebonding, not a problem. When you went the other way, oh my God, it was disaster zone. So, and then we ended up going to, I didn't know they had this forensic trichologist. Did you know
Ah,
they exist? Yeah, forensic trichologist. So, because this lady's hair just was a disaster. And we actually went back and I was helping them and I did a strand test. We did 10 strand tests, lasted 10 minutes, not a problem. So I went back and redid it. As soon as I put the product on, it melted in 1 second. I'm like, oh,
wow.
sure. So we went to this forensic trichologist because we had to, it was escalate. And I had to try and understand it. And what they said to me is when you're ironing a product in, whether it's 100% ironed in, a lot of keratins are still 100% ironed in.
Yes.
Some you rinse out 60%, some you rinse out 80%. When you're ironing it in, what the forensic person said to me is that doing strand tests doesn't really work because if I've applied heavier on this area,
Yeah.
a little bit less on this area, if I ironed more on this area, less on this area, if my hair's more porous here, less porous there, whatever, it's going to not all wash out at the same time. So they said to me that you can't do 10 strand tests because the one that you left in between that you didn't strand test, that might not have been washed out enough, or they had more product ironed in or more ironing processes. So that was something that I learned, that strand testing works, but it doesn't always in this situation when you're combining acids and alkalines and
Yeah. And porosity, hair's porosity and the
porosity. And I was like, oh my God. So
texture.
now I said to people, I'm too scared to try it. Like I know my product, I rinse it out 100%,
Yeah.
but maybe I might do it on my little mannequin downstairs, but would I risk it on a client? No.
Well,
You're
the
either
back and
chemical or you're smoothing. That's
we
it.
all know the back of the neck is always where, when you've got a junior in the salon and they bring the client back and, you've got to take them back to the basin
Yeah.
because they've missed the back of the neck or something like that. So, like you said, like you can't guarantee that
Yeah.
you've got that even.
Correct. And they were saying to me, even the top, the top, like we might have more porosity here, but maybe you got in this bit here, there's a big gray section that's very strong.
Yes,
And
resistant.
that piece is going to hold that keratin that you've ironed in, keratin smoothing nano, let's pour together. And it's going to hold that bit a bit more. So you put a color or a bleach on top of that, you could be in a disaster zone. And I
Yeah.
said, I've seen it 3 times. I'm not willing to see it ever again in my life. I can't unsee it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just say to people, it's not worth taking the risk. You either got to go one or the other.
But
So
it's so good to have, like that care factor behind your brand too, Tracey. That's the thing. Like,
yeah,
like there's so many, chemists out there that are making products for the market, for the consumer, which is why, as we know, a lot of the products that we used to love in the early days aren't the same as they are as they were back
no,
then.
no, they're
And
not.
because they've been modified for more fragrance or more foam or more this or more
Yeah.
that because the
Or
consumer,
to last longer. But
yeah,
I think it's one of those things that for me, even the reformulating, like even my oil, it's taken me so long to reformulate this oil because apparently now certain silicones are being banned globally. So they're ready, and we weren't using bad silicon. Silicon has to be in a product because it has to make it thicker, right?
yeah, yeah.
So um but a lot of them have been banned in Europe, America and South America already. So our chemists couldn't get the silicon. So we've been trying, I'm just going to show you quickly, different oils to get the right thing. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like water. This is like water. So now I've had to put in a dropper. And if you look at it, it's like water.
Yeah.
I just saw another beautiful company that I admire to death has done something very similar. I haven't released one yet, but it's still, I can put in my hair and it doesn't go oily. And it's actually got like 9 or 10 oils in it. And it has a different type of silicon that is not going to be banned because a lot of products will be banned, but I can rub it in my skin and it's beautiful. So I've had to change it. But for me, I'm really, I can put in our smoothing system, I can put just a touch of chemical in there that's going to make it straight, and I can say to you, oh, it's going to make your hair straight. in my chemical hairdressing brain of over 30 years, I can't say to you a semi-perm because keratin smoothing, they're all semi-perm products, is going to make your hair straight. I don't believe it. I can't believe it. My brain doesn't allow me to believe it. I can do all that stuff, but I don't want to be one of these people. Like I said, my friend that sold bench tops, and he sold his business once a month. There's somebody going in for another work cover claim that they got a disease,
Yeah.
right? I don't
Yeah.
want to be that person. I
No.
lost my sister at 32 to cancer. She didn't smoke, didn't do drugs. I don't want to have our industry in 10, 20 years' time say that, that smoothing that we said was going to grow out. Well, it actually had something in there and all your staff now have got some disease. I don't want to, it's, it's,
No,
it's,
it's true. It's yeah.
it's to me, I just, everybody knows somebody who's had a disease and we've got to stay as chemical free, dangerous chemical as we can,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you
And
know.
and we are, as an industry, really lucky to have somebody like you that cares that much on the
Mm.
ground, on
Probably
the
probably
ground
doesn't make
level.
me as much money as the ones that don't care, right? But anyway,
Well, the thing is hopefully it does,
yeah,
but at the same time, like these guys are big multi,
yeah,
they're big corporations, so they don't care. They've got,
yeah,
like anyway, again, that's
yeah,
another
yeah,
story. But
exactly. And like you were saying, Helen, before, sorry, just to touch on that, is that, people say stylists for stylists, right? But a lot of these big brands, they're they're scientists. They're people who
yes,
earn probably $1 million a year
yeah,
developing, these irons that can change temperature all by themselves because it's so bloody smart, right?
yeah,
But have they actually sat in the salon for 10 hours and ironed somebody's hair? Have
no,
they used that brush for 10 hours straight and see how your wrist feels and how your arm feels and everything? No, they don't. And even my chemist is amazing. He's like a mad scientist. And he would test a product. Oh, this is the best, this is the best. And then I go home, and even this morning, I wash my hair, I put the mask on, and then I'm in the shower and I'm analyzing it because I have stood on the salon floor for 20 years. I know what it's like to get sore shoulders after you do something. And it is a bit different. A lot of these people haven't stood in a salon. They haven't stood there and done 3 smoothings in a row and see how your nose feels after you're inhaling 10% that's left in the hair, right? A lot of them don't know that. So
no,
I don't know. But look, everyone to themselves. And I guess some people do it for more for money. And of course I want to make money and times are tough. But for me, at the end of the day, I just want the brand to be
there for,
successful. I want to leave a great brand, and I feel that if you're successful, you'll make money. I don't chase money. If I did, I'd probably be in a different situation because I'd just bring out anything and everything.
yeah,
I I chase the brand success, and I think as hairdressers, most of us are like that. We want to be successful. And it means whether you're doing a color or a correction color or whatever, the end result is yes. And I haven't done that sort of color work for years, but these people are doing 5, 6, 7 hours of correction color. My
yeah,
God.
I know. But
So
again, that's all, that sort of thing is all done for show on
does it take
on
that
social
long?
media.
Does it take that long? That's a long time. That's a long time. You have to charge a
You
lot of money. But I
do.
guess, do these people do it for the money? I would like to think not. They do it because they want to prove that I can do this and make that out of it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So I'd like to think as an industry that we care about what we do and we care about our people and our clients and our staff,
yeah,
and we care about the end result.
yeah.
To
And
me, that's what's important
I
for
feel
me.
we're a lot, we're a very, like, the career hairdressers are very passionate and very, and have that heart, that
Yeah.
heartfelt reason for doing it, and want that quality end result.
Yeah. And that
So,
satisfaction that it gives, right? I mean,
yeah,
when I was in the floor, I'd always say you come out of a salon and you feel amazing
yeah,
generally, unless you had to stuff up, then you'd be dying on the way home, right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
but generally, but generally you got to work to make people feel good, better. So when you make people feel better, it makes us feel better.
That's
Because,
right.
like we say, we're like psychologists, and I'm always like a counselor for everybody. I can't counsel myself, but I'm really good at other people. That most of us are. But, we got to work so we can transform people, make people feel good. And then if they feel good, we feel good ourselves. And
Yeah,
that's what it's all about, isn't it? To help people.
sure.
We help.
100%.
Yeah, I think so.
This has been such a great conversation, Tracy. I
Thank
love
you.
it.
I know I can talk and talk, and yeah,
No, it's so good. And there's so many segues we could have gone off in this,
yeah,
this conversation. So I'd love to kind of continue it on a like,
Yeah,
because I feel like this technical talk is something that is really important, if we
yeah.
want this. So
You
yes,
could go on and on. Look, it's an
joys.
amazing industry, and we've got all the awards coming up now, and they
Yeah,
used to be at the beginning of the year, now
fabulous.
they're all at the end of the year, which is great. And we all
Yeah,
get together as a hair industry, and
I'd love
it's a
to.
great industry. Do you go to the awards yourself?
I haven't been for quite a few years now, but I feel like I've got my mojo back again. And
Yeah.
I was explaining I was working with this college in Melbourne, and I really enjoy
Mm.
the people there. So it's really sort of
Yeah.
got my
Got the mojo
inspiration
back.
back.
Yeah.
And
And it's easy to lose. We all lose mojo. I've got a beautiful friend that I've had for 12 years in the US, and we all get delicate, right? We all get delicate, or someone said to me, I'm having a fuzzy day, whatever you want to call it, you're having a down day or a shitty day or whatever. And he said to me, it's okay to bend,
yeah,
don't break. And I thought, what a beautiful saying that is.
yeah,
So I said to my girlfriend, I said, it's okay. We can bend today, but you don't want to break. So
yeah,
stay flexible
yeah,
is the moral of that story. Stay flexible. And we all have good days, we'll have bad days. And you have a client that comes in and you'll do her color, and she hasn't told you that, 4 years ago she had a chemical straightening or something in there, and then you go to put bleach on and the hair melts on the bottom. So we all have bad days,
mm,
and it can happen, but we have to remember to bend and not break.
yes, yeah, for
It's
sure.
I keep reminding myself every day, because every day's a different day, and we all try our best.
Yeah,
And I think another saying that I learned, some New York thing on TV: be the best that you can be, always, in all ways.
that's so good.
Another motto, and we're gonna try that. And I
Yeah,
think if you do things from the heart and you've got good intention,
yeah.
that's the best that we can do.
Well,
The only
that's
thing
the
to do is
thing.
be the best that we can be. That's it.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Because at the end of my interview, I'll normally ask a couple of little quirky questions about, what advice do you have? So,
Yeah. Well,
um,
that's just something, and I think as a lot of people are feeling it very emotional at the moment, and the economy is hard, and you go shopping and you can't even buy eggs, and they're $10. I'm like, what the hell? You can't even buy eggs in this country, and I just think, my God, what has happened? It's just insane. So there's a lot of emotions flying around, and then your clients will cancel, and you go to the dentist and it costs you $1,000. I think, what about if you can't afford to pay $1,000?
mm,
What about if you haven't got health insurance? So times are tough, but we just got to always remember: bend, don't break, stay flexible,
yeah,
um, and just be the best that you can be. And that's all we can do, and just do the best that you can do. And, that's another thing that I learned years ago: try and improve yourself, but you just got to give the best of yourself. And if sometimes, I think years ago, something happened to me and I just had to say, I'm doing the best that I can do. I don't know how to do any better. I'm trying to be the best mum, the best business person, best friend. I'm doing the best that I can do. And if it's not good enough for you, then I don't know what to do anymore. So if you can accept that, as long as you give out 100%, or as much as you can give, might be 90 because you're struggling on that 10.
yeah,
So just do the best that you can do. And if there's people out there that think it's not good enough, you know what? That's their problem. We
mm,
can't take it on board. So, I try to live my life to be a good person, do the right thing by people. I have been what's the word, ripped off, or stuff like that, taken advantage of a lot, because I trust people a lot.
yeah.
I don't want to lose that. It's just who I
No,
am. I
look,
always see the good in people.
yeah, which is
And
good.
then, hopefully, if you're really rotten, then karma will come and hit you in the head. But, I think you just always got to try and be a good person, and understand that we all make mistakes. We're not perfect, and we try our best. And whether it's doing a color or a straightening or running a business or whatever it is, employing staff that we know is hard these days, you just got to do the best that you can do. And that's all we can do now. So
For sure.
that's
And
it.
another, just a quirky question. Who does Tracey Bazzano Loretto's hair?
Well, I do color my own hair, as you do, so I just do my roots now, and I just have natural old foil, so my hair will naturally just do that. To be honest, our smoothing system is so easy. 9 out of 10, I just do it myself,
Yeah,
because as hairdressers, we've got to book in. I just find to go sit in a salon, just as much as I've got so many beautiful friends, it takes a long time. I do have a couple of friends that will cut my hair. When I used to have a little bob, it's got to be cut really right. I hate when it sticks out. And then I did some training. I did a class with Pete from X and Edges. A bit
oh
of a
yes,
shout out to Pete.
Yeah.
And I said to him, in my days, we had a pair of scissors and we had a pair of texturizers. And now there's like 20 scissors you've got to have in your kit. It's
Yeah.
insane. But
Yeah.
then I saw them cut some bobs. So now I'm like, if I ever had a short bob and my hair sticks out in the back, because you had the wrong scissors, mate, that's what happened. Because now
Yeah.
scissors are different. They give you graduation, they do stuff. So I
Yeah.
don't really have anyone. I've got a couple of people that will cut it,
Yeah.
but because you've got background, it's a bit hard, it's a
Yeah.
bit tricky. I don't cut. Sometimes I'll, shape here a little bit if I can see.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
cut the back or
It
anything. I
looks
don't. I don't do
really
layers.
nice. I've been admiring it as you've been turning your head because
Oh, have you?
the
Oh, I
color
think it's
actually
I'm
looks
using.
really
I'm trying our new mask
nice.
today and our new leave-in reconstructing product that I don't even know the name of yet. But yeah, thank you. Your hair's amazing. Your hair's amazing. But I think as hair, I always say to people, I don't walk around with dirty hair. Even my girls here, they're not allowed to have regrowth. And the first time somebody said that's a bit rude, but I say it in a nice way, and I say because if you have regrowth, and I said, for instance, no, regrowth is against the law in this office, and somebody thought I was being rude, and I was like, no, because if you have regrowth, then that means you look in the mirror, and when you say big long one, I mean mine's like this big, and I touch it up, right? But
Yeah.
big long one like that means you're looking in the mirror and you're not valuing yourself. So for me, I say to my girls, no, even my cousin works here and I'm like, no, I've got to do your color. No, it's okay. No, you've got regrowth. I don't like it. So
Yeah.
I'll put on really quickly.
Yeah.
But, as hair industry, we've got to have good hair. If we don't
Yeah.
have good hair,
Yeah.
we're showcasing hair, aren't we? Hair and fashion. That's what we do. So we've got to do that. But nobody really special, but I did have extensions for about 3 months, which was quite interesting. But
Yeah.
apparently they weren't good quality ones because and I don't really like the feeling of extensions. They were really long and beautiful, but I shed like a dog and I couldn't handle it. I was like, I can't handle this shedding. So I don't, my hair's not super thick, but try and keep it healthy and try and do things and
Yeah.
keep it nice. But I've got so many beautiful friends in the industry that always volunteer to cut my hair, cut my hair. It's just time. It's time to
Yeah.
sit in a salon and do it. And it does take time, doesn't it?
I'm similar. It's just get it on, get the color on quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So the color, I mean, I said I had fours ages ago, but I generally, if I just have my roots done and I just touch them up myself and I found a good color now, then my hair just naturally highlights
Yeah, it's
the natural
beautiful.
colors under there. It's good. Thank you.
Nice.
Thanks, Helen. Beautiful to
And
meet you
yeah.
finally.
So
So
how
maybe
can
you need to come to the awards with me
I
in
would love to,
in
and I want to
October.
get you down to Geelong, come and talk to my students.
Oh,
So
I'd love to do that and show them
yeah,
a really simple thing. I mean, that's I
yeah,
think we can talk offline, but even that whole, to me, we've got chemical straightening, we've got smoothing, and unless you're charging the price of chemical straightening for smoothing should be really quick, simple.
yeah,
No, we don't need to this small application of and combing it through like a bleach. It's a semi-permanent product. It's
yeah,
too hard.
yeah,
Our product, yeah, I'd love to come and show you because our product basically, I pick up a section like that. I would squirt it on just like a semi-permanent color. I just do that and that's it. It's done. It's a 5-minute application.
yeah. Okay.
What are we teaching people how to apply a bleach, how to apply a keratin? It's not.
Yeah,
But I'd love to come down and
love to.
come and say hi. So you're based in Geelong, beautiful part of the world.
So where can people find you?
I'm
Down.
on I have a Facebook page, so it's Tracey Bazzano Lauretta with an A on the end. And EVY Professional, we've got our Instagram and our Facebook page. My personal page is really business mostly, and I have Loretta Tracey as an Instagram. I don't post a lot of personal things. I don't know. Somebody said to me once, you work all the time. I said, how do you know that? Because all you do is post work. And I have this thing, if I travel, I don't really post my travel things. I take a lot of photo of what I eat, but I don't post it. I just like it to take the photos. So yeah, Instagram, Facebook, my phone is always on. Yeah, I'm always there in case somebody needs it. Like last night, somebody was on Facebook, oh, my iron broke and the service is really bad. I'm like, well, our service is really good with iron. Irons break. That happens. Coffee machines break, things.
Yeah,
That's how you handle it. So there I was at midnight. I'm like, are you sure? I know she texted me a thing. So this morning we thought, no, okay, it went out last week. You just haven't got it yet.
yeah,
Post was a bit slow.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm always available for a chat. If anyone wants technical things, email, Tracey at evprofessional.com. Our website is evprofessional.com and our Instagram is evprofessional. So always available. And if you need to
Fabulous.
talk to me directly, because as I said, I'm there, just need to talk to Tracey or you can contact me directly.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Helen.
Thank you.
Have a
Lovely
lovely
for our chat.
morning.
I really appreciate it.
Thank
I
you.
know
My
how busy you
pleasure.
are, and I know,
Thank you.
yeah, And so safe trip to China.
Yes, yes. Hopefully the typhoon's gone by the time I get there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm blown away.
And then let's talk when you get back. I'll get you down.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Helen. Lovely to chat.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.